I'd like to start with something funny. And I heard about this pastor. He was raising funds for a new auditorium. He said to the congregation, anyone who will give $1,000 can pick out the next 3 hymns. Little old lady in the back raised her hand. Pastor, I'll do it. He was so excited. He said, thank you so much. Now, which 3 hymns would you like? And she looked over the congregation, said, I'll take him and him and him. All right, y'all, say it like you mean it. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I have what it says I have. I can do what it says I can do. Today I will be taught the Word of God. I boldly confess, my mind is alert, my heart is receptive. I will never be the same. In Jesus' name. God bless you. I want to talk to you today about seeing from a distance. We all have promises in our heart and dreams we're believing for. But sometimes they seem so far off and so unlikely. We don't see how we could get well or how we'll meet the right person. Doesn't look like our child will ever get back on course. It's such a long way off that it's easy to get discouraged and think that it's never going to happen. Hebrews 11 talks about the heroes of faith and all the amazing things they accomplished and how God showed up and did what only He could do. Parted the Red Sea for Moses and brought down the walls of Jericho for Joshua, closed the mouths of lions for Daniel. They were all in situations that looked impossible, no way out. Verse 13 gives us a secret of how they saw the promises come to pass. It says they had not yet received what God promised, but they saw it from a distance and welcomed the promises of God. When every circumstance said, it's never going to happen, it's been too long, the opposition's too big, they just kept seeing it in the distance. Their attitude was, may be a long way off, but I still believe what God promised. I still believe what He started, He'll finish. I still believe He can make a way where I don't see a way. They welcomed it by faith. When the promise is far off, doubt will try to fill your mind. You can't have the baby. You saw the report. You'll always have this addiction. Everyone in your family struggles with it. You can't start your business. You can barely pay your own bills. If you agree with the doubt, it's going to push the promise away. You have to welcome it by faith. Lord, I thank you that my healing is on the way. Thank you that freedom is coming. Thank you that my child is turning around. Thank you that abundance is in my future. May be way off in the distance, but you're saying, come on in. Healing, you're welcome here. Abundance, you're welcome here. Freedom, you're welcome in my house. The more you welcome it, the more you thank God and believe it's going to happen, the closer it's getting. The Message translation of verse 13 says, each of these heroes of faith did not yet have what was promised. How did they do it? They saw it way off in the distance, waved their greeting, and accepted it was going to happen. When it was way off, they waved at it. They were welcoming it, expecting it, giving it permission to come. I was at the airport one time waiting for some friends who were coming in from overseas, and we hadn't seen them in a long time. We were so excited, and we were standing in the lobby in this restricted area. They had to come through customs. And there was a glass wall, and you could see the people through the jetway about 50 yards away. And we were hoping to get a glimpse of them. Hundreds of people were coming through, and we kept looking and looking, straining. And at one point we saw them. Of course, we all started waving and waving, trying to get their attention. They finally saw us and started waving back and blowing kisses. We wanted to make sure they felt welcome and that they knew how glad we were to have them. Most of the promises God puts in our heart start far off. The dreams, the healing, the breakthroughs, they start in the distance. Seems unlikely. We don't have the resources. We don't know the right people. The opposition has more influence, more equipment. That's the way it was with the heroes of faith. Every thought said, the giant is too big, David. The fire too hot, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. You've been sick 12 years, woman with the issue of blood. They had every reason to get discouraged, think that it could never happen. But they understood this principle. They saw it in the distance and welcomed it by faith. Your healing may look far away. Your freedom, your abundance, meeting the right person may look a long way off. What am I saying? Don't get discouraged by the distance. Get up every morning and wave at your healing. Wave at your family's salvation. Wave at your freedom. Wave at that spouse you've been dreaming about. Wave at your abundance. You have to give it permission to become a reality. Let it know that it's welcome. When you believe, expect, thank God, it's getting closer. You're drawing it in. But too often, we let the distance cause us to quit believing. There's no way I can get well, Joel. You should see the report. My family can't be restored. There's so much strife. The distance is a test. How you respond when things are far away will determine whether or not you see them become a reality. Maybe a long way off, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Promises start in the distance. Healing starts in the distance. Dreams start in the distance. And the enemy would love for you to let the distance talk you out of what God put in your spirit. He'll whisper, it's too far away. It's not possible. It would have happened by now. Don't believe those lies. God wouldn't have put that in your heart if He wasn't going to bring it to pass. You have to keep seeing it in the distance, calling it in by faith, thanking God that it's coming, expecting things to change in your favor. Just like I waved at my friends at the airport that were far away, wave at your healing, wave at your new business, wave at your dream. Make it feel welcome. Give it permission to become a reality. That's when God will step in and take what looks far away, what's unlikely, what no one saw coming, and make it a reality. This is what Abraham had to do. He didn't have any children, no way to carry on his legacy. And he was very discouraged. He said, God, you blessed me in great ways, but I don't have a child. I'm going to have to leave my inheritance to my staff. God said, no, Abraham, I'm going to give you a son. You will become the father of many nations. The problem was Abraham and his wife Sarah were way too old. Sarah was 70. She had already gone through the change of life. On top of that, she was barren, never able to have children. You talk about the promise being in the distance, far away. This one was in another universe. No one had ever had a baby at that age. When Sarah first heard it, she laughed. She said, how can an old woman like me and a worn out man like Abraham ever have a baby? She told it like it was. Abraham was in his tent at night. And God told him to go outside, look up at the stars. As many as he could see, that's how many children he was going to have. God wanted him to have this picture. But think about the stars. They're a long way off. Millions of miles, far in the distance. God could have had Abraham go to the busy marketplace in the city square and see all the people up close right there where you could touch them. But on purpose, He gave him this image of a promise far away. When God puts things in your heart that seem a long way off, that's when you have to show God what you're made of. You'll either dismiss it, it's never going to happen, or you'll wave at it. God, I thank you that it's on the way. I believe what you promised. You'll either push it away with doubt and discouragement, or you'll welcome it with faith and expectancy. Sarah laughed in unbelief. She just looked at it in the natural, but Abraham knew God is supernatural. Romans 4 says, even though this promise seemed utterly impossible, Abraham was fully convinced God was able to do what He promised. Goes on to say, he did not waver in his faith, but grew stronger by giving praise to God. I can imagine Abraham at night, looking up at the stars and waving at them. Father, I know you are faithful to what you promised. I thank you that my son is on the way. He stayed strong in faith by continuing to thank God that it was coming. When the promise is in the distance, far away, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, grow weary. Thoughts will tell you, it's not going to work out. You heard the reports. It's too late. Tune all that out and keep seeing it from a distance. The distance doesn't mean God is not going to do it. Most of His promises start far away. If it was close, practical, you could figure it out, you have everything you need, then it wouldn't take faith. God is going to put things in your heart that seem unlikely. Never happened in your family. All your reasoning says no way. That's when you have to do like Abraham. Against all hope, hope on in faith. Keep waving at it. Keep thanking God that He's working. Keep believing that it's coming. Abraham had this promise a year, no baby. 2 years, nothing happened. 5 years, still nothing. It already seemed impossible. Now with each year that goes by, it becomes more unlikely. What do you do when you're doing the right thing, but nothing's improving? It's not getting any closer. That doesn't mean that God is not working. You have to keep seeing it by faith. Keep waving it in. Keep talking like it's coming. Keep expecting things to change. Not moved by how far off it is, but fully persuaded that God will do what He promised. 20 years later, Sarah conceived and gave birth to a son at 91 years old. There may be things you're believing for that seem far off. No sign of it in the natural. Thoughts telling you it's never going to work out. But like Abraham, you keep seeing it from a distance, trusting that God's working, welcoming that promise. God is going to do for you what He did for him. It may have been years, but get ready. Breakthroughs are coming. Healing is coming. That baby is coming. Your promotion is coming. Suddenly things are going to change. You can't explain it. It seemed like it's far away. But here's the key. God knows how to accelerate things. He can speed up what should take years.